where JDG have ran away with game number 1. That is very much a glaring issue here for BLG.
And BLG are going to assess the issue. They're going to look at the fact that Yagao absolutely destroyed them with LeBlanc, and they're like, I know what to ban. I'm going to stop this LeBlanc happening. It does mean that the Ezreal's available, which means that JDG is going to allow this Aphelios through, which means they could go for the Ezreal if they really want to.
Every ban towards Fofo from JDG, they're just like, right, we're not going to give you a good time. And with that LeBlanc gone, they could actually go towards something like an Ezreal Syndra here if they want to go towards it, or get that Lee Sin/Graze for Kanavi as well. Oh yeah, Volleyball.
Volleyball also is a pick that exists. There are quite a lot of picks that exist.
There's a lot of power. Yeah, there is a lot of picks that exist.
There's about
149? 40? No, we're not in 15, so 148 right
well,
now.
One of the
Yone is 150.
One of the tricks we have over in England is we just add the word odd to the end of a number, and then it can never quite be wrong.
But it would be 140 even, wouldn't it? Because it's 48.
No, because you still would just say 140 odd. There you go. Well, it was Ezreal and Volibear. That was the answer to the conundrum we had on our hands there. It's going to be Loken bringing this Ezreal once again. We see it time and time again. This is most played with 10 picks already so far. The split disappears 11. And as we mentioned, the Volibear, it's a flex. Kanavi looks great on it. Zoom looks great on it. Meaty are going to answer with a truffle.
Surprised to see that the Syndra is falling so far down in priority here. I specifically thought that JDG would have locked it in over the Ezreal because you can just go Syndra, Volley, Ezreal then as your 3 picks. But instead, actually, we're not even going to see BLG take a sniff at that. They're instead going to lock in the Nautilus alongside this Aphelios. Looks like Kanavi wants to try and go towards this Graves pick as well. So JDG could continue here to just start targeting that mid lane pick once again.
So we could still see the Syndra going the way of JDG. It might even be that BLG have to ban this Syndra here just because obviously JDG have the next pick as well. And when the Syndra is taken off the board, we're going very deep now into Fofo's champion pool. Like, his top 4 champions are this Zoe, TF, Syndra, LeBlanc, right? We're getting to the point where he's not going to have access to any of them, and he has to move over to things like the Azir.
Well, the thing is, with the composition JD Gaming have right now, you pretty much know that that Bear is going to be going towards Zoom in the top lane. So there is the opportunity if they want to go towards the Azir. Works pretty well where you go towards full late game scaling. You've also got the opportunity to try and keep yourself safe as this Azir with the Emperor's Divide and maybe look for something in that direction, although it doesn't really fit with the way Aphelios wants to play these fights because, of course, he wants to kind of be slightly shorter range in the thick of things and dealing a lot of damage to these players.
Well, despite the fact that Syndra is available, it feels like everybody else has forgotten that it exists, and JDG not going to go for that one in the end. So Fofo, he can grab himself a comfort pick at very least in that mid lane. And it is something that scales up exceptionally well as well.
The Orianna also available here, which could also be the other opportunity, especially when you see, you know, the set coming in here. You've got the Volibear that wants to go in, that short range AD carrying the Graves, but actually Fofo going to go towards an Assassin.
Do you know, I try to understand LPL drafting a lot of the time. I really do, Dagda, but I don't know why they picked Akali instead of Syndra here. I just don't. Do you have any insight for me?
Well, I was about to go on a rant about why I want Orianna.
Double ninja comp, I guess. You got some shurikens in the bottom lane. Why not have more ninjas?
Yeah. That is locked in. Okay.
All right.
So, just a reminder to folks, we are on 10-14. We're not on 10-15 where Shen gets the shield buff. We are still looking at, well, look, Shen can be good. He can provide a lot of lane pressure, obviously, in that split push. Also having that massive shield can counteract a lot of the early plays that JD Gaming have started to go towards at the moment. But I'm not a fan of the comp that BLG have right now. So it feels very much like it's heavily reliant on wings, where you're going to be trying to use that Shen ultimate to keep wings alive. But when you look at what JD, and then, having the likes of Fofo diving into the back line can also be the benefactor of that Shen shield. And you've got that go-in button with Shinbo as well. But when I look over at JD Gaming, well, hey, look, you got this reset for the fight with the Emperor's Divide. You got Lumao as well, who can use that showstopper defensively as well to take the Akali away from her Shroud, which makes it very difficult. So the second she shows, you hit that R button, you can rip her away from the Shroud, and then she becomes very vulnerable. It feels like, again, JDG have a lot of answers for what BLG are trying to do. Which
is not a new statement, it has to be said. But you know what? I'm excited. I'm curious what BLG have up their sleeves here, because the Akali is not something that we've seen Fofo bring to the stage so far this split. It's not something that we've seen many people bring to the stage this split, nor this patch. So we'll have to wait and see. But hey, ADD on Shen, at least that means that we should have some early action.
And it is a counter matchup. Like, the Shen was one of the first picks that came out as an answer to the Volley Bear, because the Volley Bear Q and W are both on hit, so you end up seeing the W from the Shen. I can't remember what it's called. The
Safeguard?
No, that's Lee Sin. But anyway, the W from the Shen, because it gives that AoE, hey, I'm not going to get auto-attacked in here. It works really well against the Q, works really well against the W from the Volley Bear as well. So it works quite well at just surviving that lane. As Shen, you have a surprising amount of early game damage off of the key strike, which is your Q. So you can get quite a bit there. Spirit's Refuge, that's the W. Sorry, Spirit's Refuge can do a lot of work in that matchup. But yes, it's super solid for the Shen. And what I want to see then is how they will use ADD and become that protective top laner for both Fofo and Wings.
Yeah, I can get behind that. You are right, it is Spirit's Refuge.
Thank you. Yeah.
I've just checked.
See, I actually play a lot of Shen support. I'm a bit of a Xiaoxi fan. So, like, I like to play a lot of Shen support. So I was just like, I know it's something. I can't remember what the name of it was.
I know it's
Spirit's
something.
Refuge. Yeah,
Wise words.
Yeah.
Here from Dagda.
I know it's a thing. I know it's got a name.
I know he's got an ability on W.
Oh, it uses letters. What are the letters? Yeah, but look, coming into this, if we look at how these lanes pair up against
Should we
each other-
reset for a second here? I feel like we've got a little bit down a rabbit hole with Shen. We've got right. We're tilted off of game one. This game one sucked. Let's be honest, boys and girls. But you know what? We got an Akali. We got a Shen. We got some crazy picks coming out here. We got some scaling up both sides. We're going into game two. Dagda, talk to me about the jungle matchup we got coming up here.
Well, already you can see Kanavi going for his own style of this Graves pick. We've seen it a little bit, most certainly a lot out of Kanavi. He likes to go for this Ignite Graves, so he'll be looking to try and go and duel pretty heavily against Meteor. And he has ran away with games multiple times off of this pick, so we have to see if he can do the same once again here. But here you can see in this top lane matchup where ADD is trying to abuse the fact, again, that he gets that shield off of his passive. The Q for his key strike as well does percentage health, so he does a lot of damage against Zoom, and it can be very difficult to deal with that. When you get to that level 3, you have access to the Shadow Dash and the Spirit's Refuge as ADD.
Loken and Lumar trading aggressively once again in the bottom lane, which is something that we've come to expect out of this duo. You see Loken already looking to get as much of an advantage in the early stages as he possibly can, while the Aphelios isn't going to be able to do much back. Kanavi already moving into the enemy jungle, and it's important to mention he's going to be running this Smite Ignite style of Graves once again.
Exactly, and I think a lot of this is going to be Kanavi using the pressure that Yagao has in this mid lane to set up for these invades. And look, as a Trundle, your best clear here is to go from buff to Gromp to buff or buff Gromp, because you want these single target camps. But the problem is you're giving this opportunity for Kanavi now, who's cleared out most of his topside jungle. He's got in, snuck away Raptors, and now he's got to go back across to his own side of the jungle to clear out his bottom side. All at the same time as Meteor is just clearing his only 4th camp.
Nice little play there from Shinmo as well to make sure that there's no vision around these crooks, so JDG don't know where Meteor is right now. Is ADD, I guess, winning out that trade? I'm not even sure who won the trade, honestly. They're both about half health. That's the ultimate conclusion that we come to in the top side here.
And once you see the Shadow Dash and that Spirit's Refuge use, ADD has to play a lot further back because the cooldowns from Zoom come up a lot quicker. So that's going to be the trade back and forth between these two. But don't forget, ADD is going to be able to work up reasonably well into this lane as he starts to hit that level 4 or 5, and he's getting more damage off the Q. The trades will start to turn heavier and heavier in towards ADD's favor. He just has to make sure that he's not getting hit by the Sky Splitter, which is obviously the more potent part that doesn't get blocked by the Spirit's Refuge.
So that was actually Zoom taking the Scuttle Crab we just saw there. I know it was a Volibear. I know you thought it was a jungler, but it was not a jungler. That was the top laner there, who obviously Zoom was able to shove the wave in and is able to get a huge advantage off the back of it. You mentioned the percent damage. ADD doing a lot of work with those trades there, just chunking Zoom out, but looks like Zoom might actually just be looking for a recall here. Has the teleport available if he needs it. Meteor hanging around as well. He'd love to make a play.
The wave is pushing back in towards Zoom, though, so you can see he's just going to go for the recall. Not going to worry too much about this early stage and just avoiding any sort of pressure that can come through from Meteor, because as you know, Kanavi has already stolen away that entire bottom, well, stole away some of those camps on the bottom side, so naturally you'll expect Meteor to be on that top side jungle. So Zoom backs, gets himself a health crystal, gets himself a longsword, and then TP's back into lane.
This is the second time Kanavi is going to be stealing away the chickens from Meteor. And you can see he's starting to build himself a bit of a CS lead as well. But Dragon going to be spawning now. We're starting off with an Ocean Drake this game. And JDG are just going to waltz in and take this one. No contest whatsoever. Obviously, they knew Meteor was up on the top side of the map.
There can be a contest though from BLG. At the teleport here from ADD. Zoom already, as we said, use that to get back to lane. But looks like they're just going to back away from this, not really wanting to over-aggressive. Honestly, I think that this is going to be the plan that we see from JDG for a little while is Kanavi living through the bottom side jungle of BLG, because when you've got the control that you already have with ADD on the top side against Zoom, it becomes a lot easier for Meteor to try and play around that top side of the map. So Kanavi will just use the advantage Yagao has in the mid lane, and also Loken and Lumao, who will eventually start to get control back in this bottom lane, but at least have a decent amount of shove power here to keep control of this bottom side.
I am curious though, Dagda. Talk to me for a second here, mate. Terry Tibbs. I don't know if anyone's going to get that reference.
I don't even
get that. Did you ever watch Phone
No.
Jacker? Terry Tibbs, talk to me. No? Okay, never mind. Very UK thing, apparently. It was on BBC 3.
Very UK thing.
Yeah, that is very UK, I guess. The trade's going to go back and forth in the top lane. I'm not going to talk about it. Are we going to see any action here, Dagda? Because we've got a Shen, which, you know, in theory, the global ultimate, you can jump in on some of the plays and stop things happening in the early game. But the way that BLG just kind of conceded that dragon, the way that we've got an Azir in the mid lane, the way that we've got Ezreal versus Aphelios in the bottom lane, I've got a horrible feeling that there's going to be a whole lot of nothing going on, right?
Yeah, you know the answer. It's not going to be too much. Maybe when Fofo hits that Hex at Gunblade, you might see a little bit more action coming through from BLG, but Meteor doesn't really have the lanes to play around right now. Could potentially go towards top and try and help ADD, but honestly, getting a Shen further ahead isn't going to do too much, although, as I say, that Zoom's actually done a really good job of getting a CS lead for himself. And same with that bottom lane. Everyone wants to try and just farm it up, get towards a point where they're relevant. So at least for that first 15 minutes of the game, I don't think we're going to see anything too huge. Maybe around the objectives, but we'll have to see as we're a minute away from Rift Herald.
All right, well, we'll come back to that in a minute.
Okay.
We'll see if any of our bot laners are going to swap up to the top side. We'll see if any map play shenanigans come on through. But I do want to quickly say, in case anyone's just joining us, in case you missed game 1, we could have a tower dive. Meteor moving in here, but it isn't Ezreal, so Loken's going to be completely safe. But hey, this is going to be a couple of tower plays at very least taken.
You will have the entire top side of Meteor's jungle lost for this play, but honestly, I don't hate the play here from BLG, although nice job by Chimo.
Is that the most complimentary thing you can think of to say? I
was about
don't
to
hate
say,
it.
I like, this is...
It's not the worst play I've ever seen.
No, I actually like it. I do like it. I think you're getting a lot of gold in towards Wings, who, as we get towards the later point, we already talked about, is going to be the main carry for the BLG side. And when you've invested what I imagine would be ADD's ult in towards Wings as well, it's going to look pretty good. Yeah, go!
Well, I mean, it's the kind of ult that looks cool anyway. So you get at least one style point there. But
and if you think about it in like real physics terms as well, he's just shoved all that smoke up into the air with that as well. So it looks real cool.
A lot of CO2 just got moved, let me tell you. Fofo is going to be fine though, as Kanavi comes into the lane. Looking for an auto, but he's not going to find it. And they're just going to shove this wave out. And maybe look towards this Herald that we were talking about before here, Deck.
Shinmo already up on that top side has got river control for BLG, but JDG should be able to take this one back. The big thing here is that both Shinmo and Lumao have access to that ultimate, so we have to see if we are going to get any sort of big fights, but looks like right now, no, we're pretty all good, especially as Yagao has already used that ultimate. They're not fully committed to trying to go aggressive for this Rift Herald.
Yeah, they're not bothered, apparently, which, you know, with an Azir in your team, with an Ezreal that's not even finished the Mana Moon yet, I can get behind that. Not wanting to overcommit to something, especially for, like, let's be honest, Rift Herald as an objective, yes, it can be impactful, but it does depend on, first off, how you can use it as a team, but also how your opponent plays around it. Maybe JDG just saying, look, let's let them make a Rift Herald play. We're going to play the opposite side of the map.
I imagine they are going to still try and put a lot of this return goal in towards Wings again, though. I was curious to see if they would, like, off of that play, shove in, and looks actually like they are going to his back, and then have Wings and Shinmo go back towards that bottom side, so they can use the Rift Herald to both get that bottom lane turret and all those plates into Wings' pocket. So I like the way BLG are moving around this map at the early point of the game. We'll have to see if they can just keep this up, because as we get to those later game fights, if Fofo isn't really getting ahead or able to do too much, although he has kept up the CS with Yagao, which is pretty impressive for this Akali, because it's not the best of matchups for. Like, I think you're in a relatively good spot here.
Yeah, but you mentioned that CS. There's a couple of matchups that aren't going quite as well for BLG. Up in the top side, you can see a 20 CS lead for Zoom, and the same in the jungle here. Kanavi, we've talked about how he has been more proactive and trying to set up his lanes in the early game. This game, he's happy to go back to that farming style and just power farm his way through the game. Fofo in the bottom side as the Herald comes down. Going to give a lot of that gold over to the Akali as Shinmo aggressed upon here. They should be able to finish this first kill of the game off. There's the Haymaker to finish off in the end. Kanavi just about survives, but Meteor going to flash to try and answer for this one. Wings gets one kill, and it's actually BLG that come out on top of the play.
ADD gets enough of a shield that JDG have to overcommit for that play, and you can see the damage from Wings. And Aphelios, untouched among 3 people, is going to have an absolute field day. So now, Wings is getting ahead off of that play. Fofo was also the benefactor of all those gold from the Rift Herald on the bottom side of the map, and now BLG are starting to create some nice opportunities for themselves.
So far, so good for BLG, and now moving on towards this dragon as well. Fofo's here to make sure that Yagao can't step in. Meteor should be able to smite this one out. So a nice little series of plays out of BLG. They win out the fight, they get themselves a dragon, they've even got a small gold lead.
And Wings, again, threatening onto Lumao in this mid lane. They're trying to see if they can now set Wings up in this mid expanse, so then you can just continue to farm up on this Aphelios. Not worry too much about what's happening elsewhere in the map, because Fofo's in a great position now to keep pushing in this bottom side of the map. The longer lane favors Fofo as well, because he can go aggressive onto Yagao without the threat of Emperor's Device right underneath the turret. But Meteor hovering down this bot side as well, just trying to give a little bit of help towards Fofo, who had to overextend just a smidge to get that wave.
So let's take another look at this play, because this was JDG actually starting the play off to try and find something.
This is us showing that ADD did use the Shen ultimate to try and keep him safe. Zoom got the stun, so he didn't follow. The main factor here, though, is that because you got that massive shield, JDG spent so long trying to deal with it. Wings gets a whole heap of damage off in that close fight. And you can see with shurikens there, they're flying everywhere. He's hitting a bunch of folks, and they're just able to take them down.
So once again, BLG managing to get themselves a small advantage in the early game. Let's bear in mind that they are very much a scaling team, but let's talk a little bit about the Akali pick especially, because as we mentioned in Champ Select, this is not a pick that we see often, and yes, they do have multiple ninjas on the team, so there's some level of synergy there, but outside of just what the champion looks like, what do you expect to see out of an Akali?
Well, I mean, assassination potential, right? She's going to be trying to jump into the back line, be a threat towards Yagao and Loken. The issue here for me is, like, Akali suits best when you're looking towards an Aphelios, towards an immobile AD carry like Azaya or an Ashe, or someone who is always going to be stuck in the same position, and Akali can play around her shroud and be a real threat to them. The issue when I look over at JDG is Loken's pretty damn mobile, so even if you go in aggressive, he's got the opportunity to kite back. You've got Yagao as well, who can shove you out with the Emperor's Divide. We already talked about Lumao's potential of upsetting this Akali with the Showstopper too. Not even mentioning, like, a face breaker into the middle of a shroud will still hit a stun. So overall, Fofo's going to have his work cut out for him, which is why I think he is playing off in the side lane, trying to draw JDG off into multiple different areas. So he's always got the potential to find these flanks, work with teleports, and try and find other ways into these fights where JDG will struggle to deal with.
He has hit a Gunblade, so at least in terms of damage, he is going to be able to impact the game, at least in some significant way. Going to use the Shroud here as he tries to get onto Yagao. Messes up the Shurima Shuffle just a little bit, but Kanavi arrives at the last possible second to get that tower plate there. That was smooth, honestly, from Kanavi.
Meteor's down in this bottom side, Shinmo as well. So I was wondering if BLG were going to make some antics happen. Looks like he still might get some.
Meteor goes for the traffic cone here. Kanavi should be able to walk away, though. I think BLG a little unsure on whether or not they should have committed. And so they're just going to defuse the play. Hey, they kept the tower alive, though. And ultimately, when it comes to place, they were the ones that got the advantage because of those rift arrows.
Yeah, and a lot of them actually surprisingly went in towards wings. I thought it was Fofo who collected those on the bottom side of the map. Oh, sorry, I'm misreading that, sorry. But yeah, still, we did get those plates earlier on going over towards wings. Fofo as well did pick up a couple of those plates for himself in that bottom lane. So, as he talks about, accelerated him towards that Hextech Gunblade, which is the big pickup for Fofo. This is where Akali becomes a real nuisance to deal with, and they're looking to enable him even more. Never mind. I thought they were going to make some sort of play bot.
Nah. We're not getting much this series, Dagda.
No.
I mean, game 1 we actually saw quite a lot. I was pleased with game 1. Even though it was, what's the political word for this? Suboptimal quality
yes.
League of Legends. We still saw a lot of fighting, and I'm okay with that. But here in game 2, we're seeing less fighting. And I'm a caster of the LPL. And you know what that means? It means I love to watch fights.
If it helps, we do have an infernal dragon. We have an infernal soul on the rift. So if you want to fight, this is the way you make it happen.
Oh my days, now you're talking my language! That is exactly what I needed to hear, Dagda. You've cheered me right up. Now on to Zoom, as Fofo wants to see some fights as well, and he's going to be able to see them as he's starting them, looking for a solo kill. Doesn't get it, because Meteor grabbed himself an assist with the pillar at the end.
Still essentially a solo kill. The only difference there was a slow to allow Fofo to finish it off. So you see Zoom very quickly going to need those Merc Threads and work up towards some sort of magic resist, because he's not having the best of time against this Akali.
Yeah, he's not having fun, as you can tell by the way that he is dead right now. In the meantime, though, JDG are going to start this dragon off straight away. As you mentioned, Infernal Soul. BLG are in a position they can contest. 2
TPs available for Fofo and for Zoom. Both are out of those ults because they did use them in those engagements, which means I give this over towards Zoom because he still has more utility in these fights, but here comes the double TP.
Here we go, dragon down low. It's going to be taken by BLG in the end, as is the fight apparently, as they're just charging into this one. Yagao going to be caught up in the middle of the pit as well. Double kill goes to Meteor, and Fofo looking to clean up as well. Grabbed one onto Yagao already. Zoom, blast cone shenanigans, and he somehow gets out on top of everything, slows everyone. And I guess the blast cones are his friends.
Just about letting him get away, but JDG lose the fight. They lose that dragon, and very messy engagement from JDG as well, because Zoom was kind of in this...
Fofo's not happy about it either.
Zoom was in this weird sort of engagement where he's jumping onto this Akali that's in the back line. She goes into Shroud. I'm trying to figure out what happened to Yagao here. He went for the Shurima shuffle, and then it looks like he got CC partway through. So you see here, Zoom's dealing with ADD. Yagao goes to the play, and then just gets autoed by Shinmo. So that fight just goes disastrously there. You've still got Loken who's able to try and churn out some damage here, but with Yagao gone, with Zoom not really being a factor in that fight, and Kanavi being picked off straight away, it's a BLG fight through and through.
Yagao looks kind of rusty on his ear. Like, that team fight in general didn't look good for him, but Flash pretty much on the spot as well. But even down in the bottom lane, when we saw him just trying to poke Fofo into tower, 2, like, Shurima, or what do they call it when he just EQs? I don't know.
Yeah. You know, yeah.
When, just sliding away, you know, when you go to your soldier, then you move your soldier. He messed that up a couple of times in a row. They do get the CC at the last second there. ADD, you know, it was a valiant effort, mate, but it wasn't enough. Haymaker comes through. There's a true shot barrage just to make sure that Loken snags a bit of that gold as well. This will be the tower now, going down for JDG.
And this is JDG saying, hey, look, we realize we don't want to fight you with this Rift Tower. We need to make plays elsewhere. But it is traded 1-for-1 with Fofo pushing in top. And now BLG can threaten this mid lane structure as well. It's gone.
And you know what? Wings moving into this mid lane alongside a Herald. This is going to be the tower taken. So BLG finding multiple towers in trade for that one in the bottom side. But you can see Wings is a bit of a gambler, right? But he's a smart gambler because he's got his Infinity Edge and then he's got 2 crit cakes. He's like, you know what? I'm going to get lucky, but I'm going to make sure the odds are always in my favor first.
Well, you know, it's like if you're trying to cheat at gambling. You've got one cloak, which is to fool people to think you're only wearing one cloak, but you've actually got another cloak under your cloak. So you hide all of the fake cards and the loaded dice in one cloak, and then you can open up the 2 of them. It's like, no, see, this is totally legit. It's fine.
I see.
Smart play. Yeah.
So that time that I got banned from the casino, it wasn't because of the counting cards. It was because I was dressed as Aragorn.
Yes.
Right, I see.
They actually wanted you as part of the play that was going on backstage.
I doubt that. I'm not much of an actor, I will say.
No, we both know your main, well, calling is dancing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Maybe once I've had a few pints, that's definitely the case, but I don't know if it should be. That's not for me to decide. That's for the people to decide. Gonna go full Billy Elliot in a minute.
I was gonna say, I kind of want like a Lord of the Rings style musical now, a little bit.
Mate. You're just discovering that you want that? I've been wanting that my entire life. That's what my teenage years were dedicated to, just imagining what that would be.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Munch is a little bit of a Lord of the Rings buff. He likes, yeah, well, I don't know if do you give yourself the title buff? You love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I'd probably fall in that category, to be honest.
He got annoyed that his girlfriend misquoted Lord of the Rings one of the days.
She refuses to watch it with me.
I wonder why.
It breaks my heart every time. It's probably the most quotable trilogy of any trilogy. ADD slides away. Not today, Yagao.
Didn't you give that title to Austin Powers earlier on, though?
I didn't give it the title. I just said it's one-off. If you add the phrase one-off, you can give any title to anything, and you can still say it like it's like the word arguably, right?
Yeah.
If I say something is arguably this, I can't be wrong. It just means I can argue the point, right? You can say anything.
I mean, you got
you said arguably first.
Arguably, you're right.
Arguably, I'm wrong.
True. We'll never know.
Arguably, the Colonel is the king of flip-flop. 66.7. He reckons 2/3 of the time BLG works every time. But they are only 300 gold ahead, even if they do have a dragon advantage right now. I have to say, I've seen JDG team fight before, and I've seen BLG team fight before, and I know that you like scaling Colonel, but I'm still going on JDG side for this one.
I mean, you do have a lot of setup here for BLG side. We talked about, look, if Wings is able to deal the damage that we know Felios is capable of, and especially against a composition like JDG, where you've 3 members essentially that are able the Felios to do these things, where Zoom is jumping in, Lumao is jumping in, Kanavi's getting involved as well. There's an opportunity with the shield from ADD for him to set up for a perfect fight here.
Oh, here we go. The Shenel on top of Fofo as well, but they're not quite going to be able to get it right yet. Kanavi got the dragon in the end, and Lumao flashes out to safety. Slow onto everyone, so BLG, they find the kill onto Kanavi, but they don't get the dragon.
They can potentially turn towards this Baron, though. Like, you have an Aphelios who can do a lot of damage. ADD can provide a good amount of tanking here as well. So, looks like that's going to be the call here.
Yeah, you got the jungler away from JDG as well.
Still big ultimates available on BLG too. You still have the Subjugate coming through from the Trundle. You've got that perfect execution for Akali, who Fofo is hiding off the wings here to see who is unfortunate enough to step into River.
Yagao has Emperor's Divide available, so there is playmaking potential here for JDG, but they're in a 4 versus 5. It looks like they're willing to commit to it though. 2,500 health on the Baron. And BLG, they can just go for this. They can just finish it off. They'll do exactly that. And I like this from BLG. They're calling the bluff from JDG. They're like, we know you don't want that fight. We know you're not going to commit to it.
And great positioning from Fofo there as well to be like, look, if you... Because ideally JDG want to try and get into the pit, use that Emperor's Divide to corner BLG in at that objective. But the fact that Fofo's playing keep away and threatening the backline of JDG if they try and make a play like that means they're not able to go for it. So BLG, I mean, Munch, you might have wanted to give them JDG the advantage in this game, but BLG are coming up trumps.
You never argue with the Colonel. That's what we learn here. The Colonel is essentially Gandalf, right? He's always right. He just knows. He never lets anyone pass. That's, you know. The Colonel is as the Colonel does. He's a mysterious entity in our world. Transcended the human plane. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, Doctor.
I have no idea where you're going. All I wanted to do was say swim you feels just to like trigger you just a little bit.
I mean, you can say what you like, Doctor. I'm Zen. You will not trigger me. I am intriggerable. I believe is the phrase.
I'm sure, yeah, somewhere.
Arguably the correct phrase for the situation. We are going to see BLG moving towards the bottom side of the map. They've got a Baron buff, so they're actually in a really good spot. Like, let's take a second here and give BLG the dues that they deserve here. Right now, they're 2,000 gold up. They've got a Baron over JDG. This is number 2 in the entire league. This is a team that needs these wins for seeding for playoffs. BLG just fighting to survive in the league right now. And they're doing a great job. The fact that they're even getting advantages over JDG is an achievement in my eyes. If they can find a game, they're looking golden.
Super weird lane assignments coming through from JDG as well, where you had Loken facing off against ADD in the top lane, who obviously doesn't have teleport, so he's now got to be reassigned towards his mid lane, so now you're given a couple of free hits towards ADD in the top. Plus, because you're dealing with so many people in the mid lane, well, BLG are able to get this bottom lane structure.
So that's one tower on the Baron count here from the side of BLG, but they've only got 45 seconds left. It looks like they want to try and crack open this bottom inhib here. Wings is going to be there to do the damage, but Yagao pushes them back. Lumao's off on the side, and that is going to be enough of a threat to push them away here. Only 30 seconds left.
They should be able to get one more wave towards the tower here, though. As you can see, Wings shoving in this wave here as just his own wave comes to hit the tower, so they could potentially get this structure. Navi only rolling the top now.
Lumao X splashes over. Wings is still here though, and once again BLG called the bluff. They're like, look Lumao, we know you're not going to go for that one. We know the rest of your squad's not nearby. They should be able to at least defend this tier 2 in the mid lane, as the Baron buff will now time out. But hey, nice bit of play here from BLG. They don't quite get the inhib, but they got the tower.
Yeah, and look, now you can have ADD and Fofo both threatening down on that bottom side of the map, so there's opportunities here for BLG to exploit that weakness now in the JDG defense. And I think we're starting to see the downside of Kanavi on this Graves, is that if you're going to go for this Ignite Smite Graves and you don't get rolling early, well, you don't have flashes, you don't have real ways of escaping from these scraps, and it makes it a little bit easier pickings for BLG to take a Graves that doesn't really have that damage first.
I've got a 4,000 gold lead right now for BLG as well, as we head towards the 27-minute mark here. But as we get to that 27-minute mark, Dragon's going to be coming back onto the map. And you can see Wings being highlighted on the left of your screen there. Wings has now hit that 3-item power spike on the Aphelios as well. He's feeling incredibly strong. And my big question is, can we see Wings have this glorious game that we want to see from him? Because he has been... You know, he came in very hyped, and he sort of disappointed me for a lot of this split. I wanted to see more out of him, and the thing that everyone was saying when he came out of the LDL was that he was a great team fighter. Aphelios is the perfect champion for that, and this could be the game, this could be the stage for him to show off.
Especially when a lot of this team composition is able to protect him in this scenario. And, I mean, look, you've got Zoom, Lumao, and Kanavi who are all going to be playing within his range. So I want to see now if he can have that pop-off performance. It feels inevitable that he will. As he said, 3 items completed. He's looking absolutely massive. 312 CS as well. By far the highest in this game. BLG have set up Wings to be the carry for this squad.
We're going to pillar onto Zoom here. And Zoom is exactly what he'll do away from the play. And now BLG reset once more and get back onto these towers. And it doesn't feel like JDG really have much of an answer right now.
You can see how terrified they are of Wings with the instant ult coming in from Zoom. He's even got that Randuin's Omen, so trying to reduce the crit damage he's going to take from Wings, plus going towards that Righteous Glory as well. All stacking in on this armor, realizing, look, Zoom has got to be the one to get onto Wings to shut him down. And to do so, he's got to be quick, and he's got to make sure that he's tanky enough to survive all this crit damage.
Survive they'll try, but you know what? I've seen Aphelios with a lot of items before, and there usually isn't that much surviving available. No.
Look, this is the big difference for me when I look towards a team like JDG versus IG or something along these lines, because with JDG, they always try to outthink when they come into situations like this. Like, right, we're behind, we're starting to fall behind. How do we try and use the map stage, try and abuse where the waves are to find man advantages, find these small opportunities for us to try and bounce back? Whereas something that we talk about often with IG is if IG fall into a situation like this, they're going to fight their way out of the corner. They're just going to continuously go in aggressive, go hard, see if they can find a pick, if they can get in towards the enemy jungle, make some crazy play that just completely catches their opponents off guard. But for JDG, unfortunately, BLG are happy to take this slow pace. They are going to, as you can see, have another Zeal item completed on towards Wings. He's now fully stacked when it comes to that crit. You still got Fofo as well, who's going to be a nuisance in the side lane. So overall, BLG aren't in a rush to try and get JDG to make any sort of progress.
No, certainly not. And it's kind of hilarious as well that we started off today talking about how JDG, over the course of this split, have changed styles pretty significantly, where Kanavi moving away from the carries and moving towards trying to play utility and set his laners up to be these carries. Whereas we're seeing in this game, they've kind of gone back to that style that won them everything in Spring, where it is a lot of farming, a lot of playing around the map and trying to win through macro and through outsmarting their opponents. Unfortunately, though, they haven't been the ones finding advantages so far in this game. And let's bear in mind, there's 2 minutes until that next Infernal trait comes up. BLG are already on soul point.
Look at where Lumao is here. JDG are already starting to try and get the dominoes in place. They're trying to see if they can get in towards the backline here for Wings with Lumao on the side. He's on his own. Wings is actually in a pretty precarious situation.
Lumao could make the magic happen here, but Loken going to be knocked up. Lumao brings in Wings. The Emperor's Divide is huge. Have they got the damage to follow it up? Though Wings goes down at the end of this one as Loken still free-firing Fofo, trying to clean up the rest of the fight. He's on to Zoom now. Loken's got to do everything, but he's found himself alone. Lumao and Zoom are both way too low to help out the AD carry, but he's somehow surviving. The death stance is absolutely clutch. Gets one more kill as ADD answers with it onto his support. Fofo is low and he can't get back into the fight. Zoom still surviving. ADD getting taken down. Somehow JDG went even.
And JDG once again, Lumao and Loken, the bot lane that we highlighted, are the saviors of the play. Lumao in perfect spot, flashes over the wall, gets on towards Wings, and Loken somehow, some way is able to carry that fight.
And it did not look good when Fofo was starting to tear apart the backline when he got onto Yagao. I'd lost faith for JDG in that fight, but Loken somehow survives the front line. So difficult to deal with.
Great call here from Lumao as well. He said, look, they wanted to get the dominoes into effect, and Wings falls. Even though you have so much shielding that can come in from ADD, it's not enough to keep Wings alive. And from this point on, as he said, Fofo does start to tear apart Yagao, getting some of these kills. But the thing is, once that perfect execution is gone, Fofo has to be so much more careful with how he enters into these fights. And Loken is able to churn out so much damage, even getting that brilliant arcane shift away just as the shadow dash connected with the taunt means that he's not even able to just sit there and range for Fofo to set things up.
How is ADD the top damage in that fight? I'm kind of impressed.
Shen does a lot of damage. It's surprising how much that guy hurts.
Sunfire Cape's a hell of a drug. Dragon goes down though. BLG have found themselves Infernal Soul. That might just be lights for JDG unless they get some kind of miracle here. Good ult from Yagao. Ults galore, in fact. It's JDG without Infernal Soul. I was going to say winning the fight, not any longer here because Fofo is on top of everyone. Yagao has to go absolutely Super Saiyan, but the Akali should easily finish that one off. It's another kill going Fofo's way as he gets himself a triple kill right now. He's got damage. He's in a 2v1. Gets shut down. I thought he could have looked for a penta, but now it's ADD to come in and clean things up. 4 kills on either side. We got a brawl on our hands.
It's finally coming to be the fighting that we know in the LPL, but BLG do get that Infernal Soul. They are in fantastic position now because you've got a 7-1-2 Akali. And although Wings is getting caught out quite a lot now at this stage where JDG have realized, look, we need to kill him super quick, Fofo is now in a position where he can kill Loki. He can be super aggressive and pick off the key members of JDG.
So now we get a moment to reset here. And it's really important to mention that obviously BLG, they managed to get that Infernal Soul. Like, that is going to last the rest of the game. This is a big deal for BLG to find that advantage.
I see Yagao here, gets on towards Wings, who's trying to be so careful in the backline, but scoots him straight in towards JDG, who are able to collapse. And then I want to see, because Loken gets demolished by Fofo, and Yagao's stuck in this pit for so long, but that Infernal Soul damage is so big, and you can see the results there. Fofo's able to burst through so many members.
I thought Fofo was going to be able to pull something magical off at the end of that. I thought he was going to try and look for the penta, but it doesn't happen in the end. ADD TP's back in to finish the play out, and you can see Fofo's damage across the course of that fight. And here's the thing, we were talking about Akali earlier, right? It's an assassin. It's something that wants to be dancing around the fight and bursting people out. Well, now with an Infernal Soul on top of everything else, Fofo is going to be monstrous. He is 7-1-2 right now on this Akali. and he's only going to get stronger.
And these fights are so all over the place that Fofo's having a lot of opportunities to get advantages and be useful in these engagements. Because Yagao obviously separating for the team to get onto Wings, but when JDG are all focused on Wings, that's when the organization coordination is collapsing, leaving Loken exposed, leaving Yagao off on his own stuck in the pit. So there's a lot of situations where you're not having that front line there to protect Loken and Yagao because they're trying to kill Wings.
So I want to quickly revisit items before we get into the next team fight, because Wings, as you just mentioned him, is now completely full build. He is terrifying at this stage in the game. Doesn't have a whole lot of armor. Pen Yagao! Oh my god, it's just beautiful. Now, Wings is already down into his GA. True Shot Barrage is a little bit early. Wings will be answered with, but Yagao fell as well. Fofo now, a little bit too deep, has to perfect the execution out of the play. So mid laner for bot laner, and JDG decide that's enough to stop Baron.
That play from Yagao may have just saved the game for JDG. Picking off Wings, getting the ult out of ADD and that GA means there's so little here for BLG. No perfect execution either for Fofo in this fight.
They're just going to commit to this one. This would be a 50-50 smite, but Kanavi gets it. Lumao pulling everybody in as well. Fofo down to half, and he's scared to go any further into the play here. ADD Shadow Dash away, but he's stunned and will be finished off. No, flash over the wall here. Collateral damage doesn't hit, but Loken, he's going to commit his flash to this play.
They're trying to see if they can get some advantages off of this Baron. You've still got 8 seconds on Yagao, but he'll have his teleport very soon, whereas it's 50 seconds for ADD. But I think right now, JDG will be happy with just taking that tower, resetting, and getting this Baron push underway.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I was surprised to see the flash out of Loken, right? Because they don't even have any minion waves. It's not like they could just try and rush and end the game.
They do get more kills, though. I mean, a little bit. Also, unfortunately for Loken, he is sitting on a Hex Drinker, and the issue that we have with Hex Drinker right now is that it can't be upgraded to Mob Minorities anymore. I want to confirm with you. It's still 10-14, so we can't.
I believe you are correct, but yeah. I am not confident.
So there is a bug with Mob Minorities at the moment, so Hex Drinker is as far as he can go. But anyway, look, great play from Yagao to get that kill on towards the Aphelios, but then Aphelios does Aphelios things as, well, Yagao goes down very, very quickly in return. But either way, like, Yagao right now, giving his life for Wings, is actually pretty worth it as long as Loken can stay safe. And Zoom at the top of that play did a fantastic job of keeping Fofo out of that fight so JDG could focus on Wings and then turn towards the attack.
So now, moment of truth here for JDG against an Infernal Soul. Can they make this siege work out? Can they make this Baron pay off? Because if not, this game might just go the way of BLG. They're going to get a good amount of siege damage down here.
JDG are super strong in a siege. You've got that Azir who can poke under tower. Loken does a bunch of damage under these structures as well. And, I mean, who's going to deal with these cannon creeps? Kali can't, Wings can't either unless he hits a Calibrum onto it. So, as JDG, you can just sit here and let the minions do the work.
That is precisely what they're going to do. They're going to still have a full minute left of this Baron buff as they move in towards the inhib here. Loken should be able to get some hits. ADD's off to the side. He's going to be fishing for a way into the play, but as you rightly mentioned, the cannon's still going strong. The inhib will fall here. That's a nice little play from JDG to find themselves back on top of this one. Let's bear in mind, they've now found themselves a gold lead, and also Elder Drake is spawning in 10 seconds. BLG have to face check into this. Or not, because Zoom is just going to walk out of the brush and let them know they're all there.
Yeah, he wanted to get a word to see if they could spot out BLG. As he said, though, Elder is now up on the cards. I don't know if JDG can just burst this one down.
I don't know. This one's going to be tense. There's a hook coming through from Shinmo. As Yagao moves over to the blue buff, he's pretty low on mana at the start of this fight. Zoom engaged upon. Wings takes a chunk from the True Shot Barrage. Fofo's on the backline here. Loken knocked up, but there's no follow-up immediately. Kanavi is going to get absolutely burst down, though. And now it's an important fight for JDG. They don't have a jungler. They can't go for the smite fight. They've just got to try and team fight this one out. But Loken forced away. Yagao not having the damage just yet. This is 4v5 in favor of BLG.
A lot of poke still on this JDG side.
Oh, Loken's caught by Wings as they go in for the play. Lumao gets onto the backline. Facebreaker across the team as well, but it's Wings that gets the first kill of this play. Now Empress divide across everyone. Yagao surviving. Wings stuck over the wall. Doesn't have flash available. He's going to get collapsed upon, but he somehow got away from that one. It was just the heal. The movement speed got him out.
The thing is, though, they forced everyone back off of this play. Loken still fishing, still looking.
Loken going to be here on the Elder Dragon. They're going to have to back away. Fofo doesn't have perfect execution, but he's still got the damage. Wings is here as well.
TP on Zoom, TP on Yagel. The base is under siege, but will be able to back away. Both these side lanes, though, have a lot of creeps from JDG, which can take down more structures while JDG keep everyone busy.
Good damage coming on through. Wings is in trouble and taking down JDG. They are baiting and outsmarting BLG. In guns Fofo, but it's too little too late. And you know, somehow JDG have pulled this one off against an Infernal Soul. I don't know how they do it, Dagda.
It's all from Lumel and Loken. Every single time we look at these engagements that are going astray, that are gone awry, Lumel gets that pick onto to Wings to start it off. Yagel with the next pick. And then in this team fight, a big showstopper from Lumel into Loken, progressing forward will send JDG into the victory.
And when I said, hang on, we got one last fight on our hands here. It's going to be Yagel that goes down early. His life is going to be traded though. ADD will be the next one to fall as Loken just wailing away. These towers will fall. When I said Kanavi was no longer the primary carry, it was Loken. I didn't expect Kanavi to just go 1 and 6 and see if he could test Loken's will. But you know what? Loken stepped up, as did Yagel, as did Lumao. JDG with a 2-0.
And why JDG are really becoming a potent squad is because they no longer have to just rely on Kanavi. You have these carries. Game